Alright, the major differences are that I've noticed is one that they've already kind of said is the frame is reinforced. They have a new grip texture that's like stippling but better in my opinion. It wraps all the way around it. It's really nice. It grabs. It's kind of like the equivalent of grip tape, the sandpaper grip tape, like skateboard tape. I like that. I like control over comfort. Another major difference is how the trigger bar interfaces with the sear. It originally interfaced with the sear, has this little candy cane deal right here, this little loop that they call the candy cane, and that's how it interfaces with the sear. I noticed that that flexes a little bit, and it makes the trigger, even with the apex, feel slightly spongy because it flexes before it breaks. If you have a heavier trigger or sear spring in there, it'll probably flex a bit more and feel a little bit more spongy, but with the lighter weight trigger, it's not so bad. I got the Apex flat face. I like it. Works well for that. And the slide rails. Huge difference. These are the little tiny slide rails on the first version of M&P. This is M&P 2.0. They got real long slide rails. More contact with the frame. More surface area to wear. So over time, this will probably lose a lot less accuracy than this will, because there's less contact there. And here's how the other trigger bar interfaces with the sear. It interfaces with this right here, that piece that engages and disengages your firing pin block. Instead of having that little candy cane, it's got this little second piece here. Not sure what it's called at this point, but that's what it hits, and that's what moves your sear. And along with that, the sear is a different shape. The sear has a nice, crisp, defined edge, and that makes the trigger feel very crisp and clean when it breaks. Unlike the Apex, this is an Apex sear. It's much like the sear that came with this M&P here, the competition model. It's got kind of a rounded edge, so that it feels smooth when it breaks. I don't really like that. It's not quite as clean, not quite as good for precise shots. It's better for speed, which is okay because this is what I set this up for. I got the flared well, a red dot, and it's ported. And let's just kind of show what the trigger feels like. Firearms unloaded. Safe position, but here, nice and clean, real clean break. And you can feel the reset now. Has a much more defined reset. I don't know if you can hear that. Nice clean break. The one thing that the Apex would have over this trigger, the trigger specifically, because I feel like if you put the Apex in there in the place of this trigger, this would be a better setup than the Apex kit because of that sear block having that nice crisp edge. You would lose most of what the Apex has over this original trigger, and that is the pre-travel and over-travel. The Apex beats that. Like hardly any pre-travel. Nice short reset. Nice crisp clean break with like nearly no over-travel. But with the Apex in here, with this, I'm not sure if they said they're going to come out with one. So I would probably leave the sear housing, spring, and all that stuff in here and just replace just the trigger because I really like that sear. It has a nice crisp clean break. And the last thing is this slide stop. As you'll notice, I'll release the pressure on the slide stop and it stays in that position. That's this new device here that just kind of puts pressure on the slide stop. Either it stays down or it stays up. The original doesn't do that. The original has a spring that makes it return into position. It just returns down. The reason for that, what I heard, I don't know, but I have seen it. If you have the slide stop, it don't have any rounds in there, but if you have rounds in there and you slam the magazine home, the slide stop would inadvertently fall and release the slide and load the next round. If you put it home hard enough. This won't do that. You can slam it home as hard as you want, and that slide won't release until you let it. And that's it.